What's going on, everybody? This is Justin with the Podcast Dojo. So today we are going to be going to Brookdale Mall as a request from the Urban Decay. So this one is an interesting mall. So we're going to check it out. I did some research, so I'm going to share with you guys what I found. So let's head on over to Minnesota and check out Brookdale Mall. Let me start this off by talking about Dayton's. Dayton's is a department store that started in 1902 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and is even responsible for the founding of Target. So after the success of Southdale Center in Edina, Minnesota, Dayton's was looking to build in the northwest suburbs, which had experienced major growth post-World War II. A site was chosen at the intersection of Minnesota State Highway 152 and Minnesota State Highway 100. Donaldson's, which was the main rival to Dayton's, and also a Minnesota-based store, purchased the land and began construction. Brookdale Mall opened in 1962 with 3 anchor stores, which were Sears, JCPenney's, which actually started out as a dry goods store only, and Woolworth. Dayton and Donaldson's would be added between 1966 and 1967 when the mall expanded. Funny considering how they built the land in the first place. At its peak, the mall had 70 stores and 5 anchors, and the mall would only continue to do better later on in the 60s, when the construction of Interstate 94 and Interstate 694 were built, not only increasing traffic but as well as the population and more stores. However, the 70s is where things do start to go downhill. For one, newer malls were being built, such as Northtown Mall, which was built in 1972. On top of that, since the majority of the residents in the area were the World War II veterans, their kids by this point had grown up and moved away. Even more changes would happen in the 1980s, with Donaldson's being bought out by Carson Peary Scott. Donaldson's would later go defunct in 1987. In the 90s, when the armed veterans were slowly selling their houses, they were sold at cheap prices to a lower social economic group. Grove Square Mall opened in the 1990s, adding even more competition. Brookdale would lose its first anchor, JCPenney's, in 2004 due to the new outdoor mall, Maple Grove. The first floor of JCPenney's would later become Steve & Barry's, which is a casual clothing store that would later go bankrupt in 2009. The mall would undergo some minor renovations, including a new food court. However, this was not enough. Macy's and Barnes & Noble announced that they would be leaving the mall because they did not want to be in a mall that was only averaging about 50% occupancy. At this point, Sears was the only remaining anchor store. The mall announced that it would be closing in April 2010 due to low occupancy. The owner, Jim Schlesinger, still owes $52 million on the $54 million loan. The mall was sold in a sheriff's foreclosure auction at Copmark Financial Group Incorporated. Gatlin Development Company has acquired Brookdale Shopping Center and has announced their plans to restore the shopping center. They will rename the center Shingle Creek Crossing, tear down most of the mall but leave the recently added food court, build a Walmart Supercenter with a grocery store inside, build an additional 435,000 square foot shopping center, add 8 restaurant pads and 2 multi-tenant retail or service buildings. And finally, they will excavate Shingle Creek, which was buried underneath the parking lot, to create a green creekscape. So that was Brookdale Mall. I think the downfall of this mall is very similar to what happened to Azalea Mall. Bigger and better malls being built around it and social economic decline. Now, in being told about this mall, I heard stories about gangs. However, I could not find anything related on gang-related activity or crimes. If someone can find any stories about this, please share the link in the comments and I will put it in the video description. But here's how social economic decline affected this area. These were lower income families that may not have had as much money to go out shopping like, say, these retired war veterans had. Not only that, but if the kids didn't stay around, then there's no one to continue running some of the small businesses around the area. Another thing I believe was a contributing factor in all of this, the fact that so many of the anchor stores ended up being bought out by someone else or going bankrupt. As I have said in previous mall videos, anchor stores leaving malls is never a good thing and looks very bad for business. Well, that was Brookdale Mall. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, thank you to the Urban Landscape for suggesting this. If you guys have any places you'd like me to check out, be sure to comment below and I will do my best to fulfill your request. Until then, go ahead and share this video with your friends if you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a rating. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And if you do subscribe, hit the bell button so that way you will always be up to date with activities from the Podcast Dojo. Alright everyone, I will see you next time on Abandoned.